Hi, it's the Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I have some new Givenchy products to try. This is brand new from Givenchy, but I'm going to be honest and tell you I have never tried anything more than a lipstick from Givenchy. So I thought instead of just getting the concealer, we'd get the Skincare and Glow foundation, we'd get the Prisme Libre powder, we would do a full base and see what it looks like. I always hate purchasing foundation and concealers online without being able to go in store and swatch. And I don't live close to a Sephora. I don't live close to any retailer that carries Givenchy in store. So I just kind of had to guess. And I was on the Givenchy website and I thought, you know, since this is a lightweight, light to buildable coverage, which I love, I thought, you know, maybe the lightest neutral shade, which is 095. There is one shade lighter, there's a 080, but I don't know that it's a neutral shade. I don't recall. But this is the one that I thought would probably be the lightest. And fingers crossed because I got the same shade in the concealer. But I'm going to start with this. Right now I have a face that is well hydrated. I have my SPF on top of that, but it's been a couple of hours since I got my skincare on. So my face is definitely moisturized, but we're not like too glowy. I'm going to put a little bit of this. There we go, right here on my palette. This is supposed to be a foundation that is kind of skincare as well as foundation and provide 24-hour hydration. And I'm so curious. I think this is going to work just fine. All right, so it's light to buildable. Of course, it's also a radiant finish. And the suggestion is that you can either, you know, use your fingers, you can use a brush, you can use a sponge. I'm going to start by just kind of shearing it out on my face. It does have a fragrance. It does smell floral. So if you are not a person who likes fragrance in your foundation, well, this one has it. I feel like a lot of the higher end or luxury foundations have a scent to them. I'm going to use a damp beauty sponge to bounce this in. Hardly any blending necessary. I'm going to put just a little bit more right over here. I feel like the center of my face, and like I have some redness right along in here, but I feel like the center of my face is where I need most of this. This is supposed to also be long wearing, which to me is interesting because a lot of times when I hear about, you know, like radiant foundations, I don't always think of a radiant, glowy foundation as a long wearing foundation. And that was really intriguing to me. I know that this is a favorite of a lot of people. I have really been hesitant to kind of drop my foot in the luxury foundation pool. I think one of the more expensive foundations I have right now is the one from Eldridge, but everything else is kind of like the low to high 40s or below. And I've never been comfortable dropping $50+. If you're curious, this is $52 for 1 ounce. But boy, I feel like my skin looks pretty but believable. I think for a light layer of just sheer foundation bounced in with a wet sponge, this looks really good. My skin looks glowy. My skin looks like I think that if you were up close, you would know I have foundation on, but it's not as discernible as like medium to full coverage. Like this does not look like I'm trying to perfect anything. It looks like it, like from a distance, like it could just be good skin. I kind of like that. So the Skincare and Concealer is what is brand new from Givenchy. And this is kind of what triggered me getting the powder, getting the foundation, trying this whole kind of like base routine. These other products have been out for a while, but this is actually brand new. And this is supposed to be a product that is long wearing, that gives 24-hour coverage. I was like, whoa. That's a bold claim. It's not supposed to settle into fine lines. It's not supposed to settle into creases. It's supposed to self-set. And this is also touted as being not just a concealer, but also a corrector to help get rid of dark circles, redness, dark spots. And I was like, whoa. Now they do have a line of actual color correctors that look lavender, green, pink, yellow in the tube. I didn't get one of those because I wanted to see what the concealer could do all on its own. And for that reason, I am not going to be reaching for the regular under eye corrector that I put down. I will pair it with that eventually, but I want to see what she can do all on her own. And I'm wearing the shade N95, same as the foundation. I'm going to start by just doing one eye so we can see. And I usually, you know, put a dot at the corner and a dot right here. And I've started kind of just by tapping it out to distribute it. This might be more than I needed. All right. I might have put too much down. All right, one thin layer with and without. Man, I think this looks pretty good. I think a little color corrector would, you know, not go amiss. I'm not going to put an extra dot over here. I felt like one layer, one dot was going to give me sufficient coverage for under the entire eye. I don't want it to be too heavy or too much. I want it to look like real skin. And I think that's kind of the goal of this Caring Skin line, is just that it looks natural. I'm going to add just a little bit of this to some of the dark spots that I have around the face. Got a little melasma here. And this can be used to kind of add additional coverage where you need it. I'm not going to add a ton today, but I think that should do it. Maybe just a little bit more here and here. I feel like when I go in with a sponge, because this is such lightweight foundation, concealer, that the sponge picks up some of the coverage I'm trying to achieve. So maybe this is best tapped in with fingers. I do feel like this is going to look very skin-like in the end. That really excites me. Now, when it talks about being long wearing, both the foundation and the concealer, I guess we're going to have to wait and see. This concealer is exciting though, the fact that it's not settling into fine lines or creases. I like that, especially under the eyes. So that means I'm not going to have to worry about product kind of settling in those areas. And I do feel like this concealer does a really good job. I've got a little bit here to blend on the nose still. I do feel like it does a really good job of blending from where it is to where it isn't, because sometimes concealers can be so high coverage that like you can literally see where you stop, because it's like bold, bold, bold coverage and then it thins out. And I feel like this is a really good balance with this skin caring foundation, the primer. They go really well together. And right now I look kind of pale because I've taken a lot of the natural color out of my face, but I think overall it looks really good. And this little spot here, hardly discernible, which is super, super fantastic. I don't have a primer down today, I should let you know that, just my regular skincare and SPF. But the things that I'm always looking for when I'm trying a new foundation, when I'm trying a new concealer, especially since I'm 48, I have a lot of dynamic facial lines. I want to know, is this foundation settling into my forehead lines? And I don't feel like I have like extra pigment settling into my lines. That's something that sometimes more radiant foundations instantly do. They're very glowy, they're very pretty, but they're also very kind of loose, and they just kind of collect in my crevices. The other thing is I haven't put on any powder under my eye, and I literally don't have any concealer like settling into my crinkles. Now, that may happen in 15 to 20 minutes, but sometimes I can just be finishing pouncing in one area or tapping it out, and I have just done one side, and before I reach for powder, like a minute and a half later, I already have product settling under the eyes or in my forehead lines or right here in my crow's feet or in the corners of my nose. I don't feel like that's happening at all. I feel like the product is staying dispersed where I put it initially. I feel like it looks lightweight, but it has really made a difference in the severity of the under eye circles, the redness around my face, some of the darker spots of discoloration I have, but I still don't feel like I'm wearing a lot of foundation. I think it looks really pretty. I like the glow that I'm getting. Like, seriously, the glow is so lovely. All right, I do want to try this. This is the famous Prisme Libre kind of blurring powder. This has those 4 colors. I know that so many people really love this. What's interesting about this powder, it's supposed to be 6-hour wear. So it's definitely not an all day sort of thing, but it says that it's mask proof, which is good because I work at a dentist's office and I'm in a mask all day at work. On top of that, it also says that it not only blurs, adds radiance and mattifies, which is weird when you think about that, because if it's going to mattify but also be radiant, sometimes those powders don't always come in the same formula. You get a radiant powder or you get a mattifying powder, and this is supposed to offer mattification with a little bit of radiance. I'm curious to see what that's like. I've tipped out a little bit of the powder into the cap. I am picking it up on this more triangular puff here. I'm going to pounce it on the back of my hand so I don't have too much powder in one area. And I'm going to start by setting my under eyes. I'm also going to set my nose, and right across the pores, like right here close to my nose and the tops of my cheeks, like not all the way across, but like right in here is where I feel like I have more texture. Another place I definitely want to make sure to set is the forehead where these dynamic facial lines are, because what I don't want is product settling in there. Basically just my T-zone and my under eyes. That's what we're setting today. I am not going to set anything else, but I'll tell you, boy, this powder is really, it's pretty. I don't know that I'm seeing a ton of radiance. I feel like I had more radiance coming through from the foundation and the concealer, and this is kind of setting. We'll see what it wears like, but I'm really excited to see what the long-term under eye situation is and whether I get, because the places where I have the most product settling into fine lines, and these aren't really fine, they're kind of cavernous across my forehead here and my under eyes, and I'm curious to see if this is going to hold everything in place. I'm going to take just a minute to finish up the rest of my face, and I'll be right back. I definitely ended up applying more makeup than I intended to and wanted to keep this really light and fresh and almost, are you wearing makeup? And it's obvious that I am today. But I think a lot of it was just I had time to sit down and play. And every time I sit down and play, I just keep pulling out more and more and more things. But let me tell you, when I'm looking at the skin, I feel like the skin looks really pretty. The one thing I did notice is that I was using cream products, cream highlight, cream bronzer, cream blush, and I do feel like this was covered up pretty well. And then the products definitely, I lost some of that coverage. It's light coverage, even though get a little bit more with the concealer. I put an extra dot over this spot here, but I feel like if I were to have set it and then use powder products over the top, you would not have, it would have been fine. But I want to wear this foundation the way that I normally wear foundations on non-work days, which is just setting my T-zone and under the eyes. The one thing I'll tell you is I feel like the eyes look really good. I am very, very picky about the powders I put under my eyes because I am 48. I do have fine lines and wrinkles. I do have product that can settle in those areas. And it's been almost a half an hour since I finished doing my makeup, and I don't really see anything under there except for a little rogue sparkle, but that was me in the eyeshadow. But I feel like the concealer looks lightweight. The powder looks lightweight. That is fantastic. And I do really feel like I got the right shades. This is shade 95 neutral in both the foundation and the concealer, and the lightest, which is the Mousseline Pastel in the Prisme Libre foundation here. I did get a sample of one of their Entre Deux lipsticks. This is the shade Intense Silk 116. It's what I'm wearing here. It's been a long time. I used to have one of these Entre Deux lipsticks, and I don't know what happened. I might have decluttered it. I might have finished it. I don't know. It's been a minute. But this actually is really pretty. It feels nice on the lips. Feels comfortable. I don't know. Maybe I need to start buying more Givenchy. I would love to know, first of all, is this like one of your all-time favorite foundations? How does it wear? Is this one of the powders that you use all the time? Or is this skin caring concealer kind of what is pulling you in? I realize that I normally don't spend this much on base products. This is $37. This is $52. This is $59, almost $60 for a powder. I never spend that much. But truthfully, I really like the way my skin looks. I think this is going to be fantastic as the weather warms up, and I like to look like I'm wearing almost nothing. This is going to give me that light layer of, it almost feels like a tinted moisturizer. And I know you're going, I'm not paying $52 for a tinted moisturizer. But as I get older, I have to be really careful what I choose to put on my skin. I'm curious to see how this wears as the weather warms up. This has me excited that it's not kind of creasing and settling, that it's not adding an extra 10 years underneath my eyes. Same with this. Like always, I will check back with you in a handful of weeks and let you know how these products wore. If you're paying in the $50 range for a foundation, almost $60 for a powder, nearly $40 for a concealer, you're gonna wanna know that you're not just throwing your money out there willy-nilly and just testing the waters. I can do that testing for you, so make sure to check back in a while and I'll let you know how these products are going. But right now, I'm kind of impressed, and I see, why people are willing to pay luxury prices for products like this. I'm impressed, but remember, first impressions are simply that, a first impression. I would love to know, are you a Givenchy makeup fan? What are your faves? What are the things that you are always like reaching for perpetually or repurchasing over and over? Or if there's something that you try and you're like, expensive, not worth it, more affordable is better, tell me as well. And if you've tried these Entre Deux lipsticks, what's your favorite shade? I'm curious because I like the way she feels. We'll see how it wears, but so far, so good. Thank you so much for watching today. Have an incredible day, and I'll see you again soon.